What it do, YouTube? We're back. Episode 24
What's
of
up?
episode 24 of
Who's the master?
What's Good. I hope everybody had a good weekend. We certainly did. We are glad to be back though, and here talking to you guys about all things movies. We got some big goings-ons happening. We got a big award show coming up this week, Bobo. I didn't even know we had that award
The
show coming up this week.
Goldies.
Yeah, didn't even know, man.
Yeah, but that shows how much we aren't really caring about these award shows anymore. Just like we talked about last time. It's like, do we really care? I mean, yes, it's fun. I will say this. Golden Globes are the most fun to watch because that's where everybody gets drunk and they kind of party up in the whole like ceremony. So by the time anybody's taking their speeches,
Is Ricky Gervais hosting again this year? Because if he's not, then I don't care.
No, he's not.
Yeah. Then I don't care.
It's Gerard Carmichael is hosting. The comedian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't care.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, though, guys.
Yeah. We see Asmaniac and Derpy are in the chat. Welcome, you guys.
Yeah.
Welcome. All right, so we got a lot to talk about, like I said. So let's go ahead and get to it. First of all, let's talk about our very first topic. Megan's killing at the box office.
Jeez,
and
dude.
It's killing it on the reviews. But of course, we'll get to that in a little bit. First of all, let's go ahead and talk about the box office. Megan pulled in over at last I checked on Variety. I believe they had it over 37 million on the opening weekend. May not sound like a huge number to those of you who are just used to listening to us talk about Avatar and about superhero movies. But for this time of year, for the type of movie we're talking about, those are some big numbers, way over expectations.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when you saw those numbers, Bobo?
Very surprising. I knew it was going to get some followers because first off, January is two things. It's the month where movies go to die, and it's also the month where unexpected horror gems sometimes emerge.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those ones that I kind of was expecting it to be. However, if you look at my review, which is on the channel right there, you'll see on the review that I enjoyed it. It was a very good theatrical experience, especially to enjoy with an audience, but I wasn't blown away by it. And I even gave it on the review. I gave it a real decent, which is not the top score. It was enjoyable. That's about it. Fun to watch with people, but to give it a 98%, which is a higher rating than Godfather, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's it. It's higher rated than Godfather. Now, let's be clear on the percentage score on Rotten Tomatoes. I had this argument once with my cousin who was appalled that Get Out was the highest rated horror movie on Rotten Tomatoes because it had a higher fresh score. All that means is a higher majority of critics like the movie. And fresh can be anything from, on our scale, which is a 6 to a 10, right? You can just barely enjoy the movie, barely think it's above mid, and it gets a fresh on Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter. So it's ranked higher than The Godfather. Yeah, on the surface that sounds appalling, but I don't know if it really means that people think it's better than The Godfather.
That's audience score, and I guarantee that more people that just go to see random movies and stuff like this, they're going to go see Megan, but Godfather is an artistic piece. You know what I mean? Like, so not as many people have probably seen this movie or seen The Godfather who saw this movie.
Yeah. This movie, listen, there's been two, by the way, we're seeing your comments, guys, and some of these comments we're going to hold off because some of them go into different topics we'll be discussing later, especially you with the Wednesday Derpy. We see that comment. We'll be talking about that a little bit later.
As Maniac, I do want to, answer your question. The budget, though, was $12 million.
Mm-hmm.
So just to let you know, $12 million.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying that the meme ability of this movie, by the way, Variety and Deadline both doing articles on how this movie exceeded expectations. That's how much is blown away industry insiders. Is that two of the biggest publications we have when it comes to movies, at least more serious publications, are doing articles on how surprised they are at the box office haul of Megan. And yeah, apparently the meme ability of the movie, the thing that we thought people were all laughing at the movie for, is what helped drive audiences to see the movie. And then on top of that, it's genuinely enjoyable. Blumhouse, though, I feel like Blumhouse has had more hits than misses in the whole.
No, you said it right, Blumhouse.
Blumhouse, yeah,
because it's Jason Blum.
Yeah, I think Why do I want to call him Bloomhouse all the time? I think it sounds
We
better.
all called it Bloomhouse until we found out the guy owned it. Name was Jason Blum. For real.
Hey, Jason, change your name to Bloom. It's better. All right.
Well, hey, but real quick, Blumhouse and Atomic Monster, which is James Wan's company, they just merged. Now, I think they merged while they were making this because this is a Blumhouse production, but it's still produced by James Wan and story by James Wan and stuff like that. But as this movie was being made, I think is when they decided they were going to merge. And you still get the Blumhouse thing at the beginning and the Atomic Monster thing at the beginning, but I think they're going to actually like bring their companies into one big company now. And what I like about that is that Blumhouse, while they have a lot of great things, they also put out, they kind of do the Marvel thing, what MCU is doing right now. They're putting out quantity over quality. So some are good, but then some are trash. Whereas James Wan has more of an artistic vision, whereas Jason Blum is more of a financial producer guy. And I think teaming that up, I think we're going to get better horror movies out of them.
What was the last big movie James Wan had produced or directed?
Malignant.
Prior to that,
you wanted me to say Aquaman.
yeah, Aquaman. Yeah.
Which was a money smasher, dude.
Yeah, it was also a terrible movie.
Okay.
James Wan, Aquaman. Give me a break.
I love James Wan.
I'm automatically. I don't care about this new movie now. Automatically, just because of that. It's funny that you're saying they combined like it's a bad guy in a Godzilla movie. You know, because let's see if they do a Godzilla movie or some sort of monster movie after this.
I don't think they will. I think Atomic Monster might still have a part in things like Aquaman or whatever, but for the most part, James Wan is very little known for his action stuff and very much known for his horror stuff.
Well, speaking of Malignant, as Maniac thinks the last good horror movie was Malignant. Derpy disagrees. Says the last good horror movie was The Last Airbender. That's funny. That's really funny.
Good one, Derp.
Yeah.
And yes, thank you, Ezzy. I appreciate that because I really did enjoy Malignant. Would you say Aquaman wasn't good but terrible? No.
Hey, listen.
It just depends on what you're looking for with that movie.
As Maniac, the main hero of that movie is his mom. And she ends the movie with a lecture. That's all I'm going to say. Whenever anybody tries to defend that movie, I'm going to say we had a mom end the fighting by lecturing her two sons. And I got that ending in the backseat of my car growing up every time we went on a road trip. I don't need that ending in movies. I was raised with that ending.
Well, yeah, obviously that's why you didn't like it, because it reminded you of the painful childhoods in the backseat of your car. So
yeah, stop fighting. Don't make me pull this car over. That's what she said. That's what she said to those two. Don't make me pull this car over. And then they were like, okay, Mom. And then the movie ended.
She did. I mean, look, is the movie outlandish? Of course it is. But I told you, I knew that going into it. But yeah. I'm not going to sit here. Somebody's going to say, what's your favorite comic book movie? Aquaman is not even in the run. Like, it's not even in the same ballpark. Okay. Just
okay. On our new rating scale, by the way, last great comedy was Drywall. Derpy, I can't even watch that.
You're singing them, dude.
I've tried to find that movie, Derpy. You can't even find it on YouTube. You know?
Yeah. They're ashamed of it.
Yeah, you know the whole reason they released that movie is because they had the rights to Dragon Ball Z forever, but that anime took so long to come to America. But by the time it got popular, they were about to lose the rights,
and they had to do.
They just greenlit a movie as fast as they could.
That's what they did with the Fantastic Four with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan and all them.
Right.
They were not wanting to lose the rights back to Marvel, even though Marvel just bought it.
Yeah. It is very bad, Derp. But yeah, no. So yeah, exciting times for Megan.
Yeah, good job, Megan. Because I mean, look, I enjoyed you. I think you're good. You're going to go on the part of the collection as far as Blu-ray is concerned. But I am amazed that I think it's getting all the public response so much because it is a little bit of a horror movie light. Mm-hmm. And so like people that can't stand like full on horror, there's enough of the contrast between the kind of pop culture comedy thing with this girl because they incorporate her singing songs like Bulletproof, Bulletproof. And she's like singing as a bet. And of course the audience was laughing a lot, but then getting freaked out. So I think because it's not so harsh like Child's Play, because Child's Play, it's like, oh, this funny doll, but then it's just like cursing like crazy. And then he does some terrible things to people. It's very much implied in Megan, and all the kills are off screen. You know what I mean? So it's just people can handle it a little better that aren't used to horror. I think that's why it succeeded.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it brings about the new evolution of horror movies. As Maniac, I have never seen The Last Airbender. Don't watch it. Watch the
Yeah.
cartoon. The cartoon is phenomenal. We're gonna get Bobo to watch it.
I'm still look, and honestly, to be straight up, the two that I'm really most interested in watching right now are Death Note and Last Airbender. Those are the
Yeah.
two that I'm really most interested, like looking forward to watching.
Okay, so for those of you who are new to this podcast, Bobo hates animation. He
Not
thinks
true.
animators are overrated. He thinks they don't have a place in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. Look at this background here, and I think animators are overrated. Yeah, that's the case.
What's your favorite anime of all time, Bobo?
I don't see. That's the thing. I've told you this. I'm not an
See,
anime guy. Just because I'm not an anime guy doesn't mean that I don't
you don't
like
even have a
animation.
favorite anime of all time.
I never got into anime.
What's your favorite cartoon of all time? Thank you, Asmaniac. Spider-Verse, and that's the best Spider-Man movie. I don't care what anybody says.
No, it's not. I think
is.
it's a great Spider. And look, Asmaniac's trolling you right now because I don't think that he thinks that Spider-Verse is better than Spider-Man.
He just said
2.
Spider-Verse. He didn't say it was the best. He just said Spider-Verse. Boy, he
And
understands it's good.
It is awesome. And you know what did I text you when you sent me the trailer link to Across the Universe? I text you back. Looks incredible, right?
You see,
I love it. I play video games.
If I remember correctly, I think you said looks incredible for a cartoon, and that you were gonna adopt a kid to take it to go see it because you had no interest in seeing it.
No, I went and saw Spider-Verse, and I'll see this one by myself. I just don't ever think that I'm going to.
Damn, you can see by yourself. You're not even gonna see it with me, Bob. Okay, I see how it is.
I'm saying, of course I'll see it with you, but I'm saying that I will see it no matter what. I'm not ashamed to go see animation by myself. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that animation is ever going to top.
All right, so
for me.
So guys, we have an anime coming out. It just came out today. I'm going to start watching it probably today. It's Vinland Saga Season 2. Now, Vinland Saga Season 1 is also on Netflix. It's a newer anime. Came out a couple years ago, and then I think Season 2 got delayed because of COVID. Did you watch The Northman?
No, and I want to see it, but I just haven't got a chance.
Okay, well, then anybody that watched The Northman, it was all right. You know what to expect from that director. Vinland Saga is a Viking epic that blows Northman out of the water. It blows Northman's dick off. Okay. So,
but look, you're going to have to understand that there's a lot of people that what I was trying to tell you earlier is it's like here recently, animation has not been satisfying the visual need that my eyes need. Story wise, I can understand if the story's good, but I can read a comic for that. If I'm going to watch something in full like motion, I kind of need it to be better than looking like drawn stuff.
Is Kevin Smith involved? As Maniac, it wouldn't be worth watching if Kevin Smith was involved.
You should have seen the stuff that that Anshul was sending me on New Year's Day about Kevin Smith. He couldn't listen. Anshul can never text me fun, nice things. He just wants to troll me with Kevin Smith messages and saying, "Here's your hero."
Derpy 501. Most weird anime I've ever seen is Blue Exorcist. The reason you think the anime is weird is because the second half was changed because the ending of the manga hadn't been released yet. So from the last, I believe, whatever the last half of that anime was, I forgot how many episodes it was. You're not watching. You're watching an original story that was made by the studio that created the anime, as opposed to the author that wrote the manga, and it doesn't really mesh together. Toy Story 4.
There's a reason that anime is never going to be as big in a box office setting and like a film will be, because I think that for a lot of people, the older they get, it's just, for me, I'm not saying it's childish because it's not. My eyes just need something more than that style of animation.
Let's see. Here's the thing: is because there's a lot of brilliant anime that do a lot of brilliant things with their direction that I think filmmakers could take from. For example, there's a great anime called Mob Psycho, and it's a great anime because it's kind of a parody on the anime genre. And that's why I wouldn't recommend it to people that are new to anime, because, in order to really appreciate parody, you have to be a fan.
But okay, so take it like this.
Well, hold on for a second. There's a scene where they have a character, his power is teleportation. The way that they illustrate his teleportation, I think, is so unique. And if I was a filmmaker, I would steal the way they illustrate it. Because basically you see him and you see the guy he's fighting, and then instead of watching him teleport and doing a widescreen shot and seeing them teleport to a different location, you see the background behind him change to show that he's teleporting. And it looks so cool and so awesome. If I were a filmmaker, I'd watch that and be like, next time I do a teleportation in cinema, I'm going to do it like that, right? Because like he'll be fighting somebody, grab his hand, all of a sudden the background changes behind them and they're in the middle of the sky. and then the person who's being teleported is bewildered, right?
Yeah, they want to illustrate it like they illustrated it like in X-Men. They want to do it like you saw it in the comics, and so that's what they were trying to emulate. The BAMF.
Yeah, but it's
They
not the
weren't leaking
band.
out.
Like I said, I'll send you the clip. I bet you I can find it
No,
on
no.
YouTube.
What I'm saying is that
Yeah.
like the reason it looks like that in X-Men is because they were
Sure,
trying to emulate the pages of the
sure.
comics.
But even
But
when you see it in like regular cinema, if you have a
yeah,
sci-fi where somebody's got teleportation, it's a widescreen shot. You see them physically change locations with a cut to the new location. And I think this would be, especially with green screens, you can definitely do it now to where you just have it kind of fade out into a new background or pop out into a new background. Like I said, I'll send you the video when we wrap up here so you can see it. And that's why I think when you said, hell, visually it's not appealing to me, I think there's a lot of cool things going on in animation. In fact, I know for a fact that a lot of live action steals directly from anime.
it's the coat of paint that's on it though. I'm not saying that what's being done is not cool, but there's a flatness to it, and because it's done in a sort of 2D/3D format. So it's like Alex Ross. If you gave Alex Ross a bunch of crayons, yeah, he could probably draw something that looked really cool, but it would still look like it was drawn with crayons. And for me, that's what animation is starting to become. Like I said, Pixar, things like that, that's different because that's kind of a hybrid with reality and animation. But straight up cartoon style animation, it's just harder for me to
Well,
latch onto that.
that's gone. That'll never be back because
But
hand drawn
know what I'm
cells
talking.
are.
No, but you know what I'm talking about. It's digitally done to make look that way. I know that people aren't drawing it anymore, but what I'm
Mhm.
saying is like the any of the Warner Brothers stuff that's animated, even the what if stuff, that style of animation is starting to just get hard for my eyes to latch onto because my eyes want more film cinematic stuff. It's like when I got used to 60 frames per second on PS5, it's hard for me to play games at 30 frames per second now because I've graduated.
The irony in this is the majority of properties you watch are superhero or fantasy properties, and almost all of that environment is green screen. So it's
But it's
basically
not.
animated.
You're not hearing me then.
No, but I'm just saying.
I'm talking about cartoonish looking things, not
Mhm.
stuff that's
Right,
designed
you're
to
talking
look
about the
real.
colors, the way the colors and the hues pop. I get that. I get
Yeah,
that.
and when it looks like something that's supposed to be drawn, even though I know it wasn't, it was done digitally, but like it just doesn't. The older I'm getting, my eyes need more than that. Even if it's a cool concept they've laid out, I need something that looks a little bit more.
As
Just
Maniac is parodying you on this one. Cartoons are cartoons we see in reality.
there you go.
Yeah, but here's the thing, guys. Movies are not about reality. Movies are about the imagination, and that's why I think anime
But
can.
you can have preference. You like it, and I just don't
I don't
like it
have
like I
preference.
used to.
I mean, it depends on it depends on what I'm watching. Like, there's certain things where, there's slice of life anime.
But
I don't.
you're putting words into my mouth and telling me I don't like certain things a certain way when I do. What I'm saying is that when it's cartoons,
Uh-huh.
I need something more than that. Pixar isn't a cartoon. Pixar is a hybrid of reality that's animated and they try to make things look real. You see things moving in the background that look actually photorealistic.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm talking about. The difference of that and seeing something when there's crazy flashing lights going by because when they're doing a crazy move in an anime deal. I understand the concept is there, but my eyes need more than that.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I get your point because there's slice of life anime, and I don't care about that anime because for that I can just watch a regular movie. Slice of life would be like a coming of age story between two kids in high school. I don't want to watch that in anime, right? If I'm going to watch that, I'm going to watch that with live actors,
Invincible,
right?
prime example. I think it's cool. I wish it would have been live action.
No, I disagree with you on that. I think
That's
Invincible
what
is
I'm
very
saying. It's
good.
okay for you to
Yeah.
have your preference. It's
Well,
just for me,
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
like
it's
that.
okay, Bobo. I don't know why you're getting
No,
so
yeah. Look,
defensive.
this is what Anshul does. Then he tries to act like the good guy when he was the one pressing my buttons.
Okay, so we got a lot of good comments popping off from Derpy and as Maniac. As Maniac, you hit on a point that I popped up, and we're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to get into WandaVision stuff in a little bit. Derpy and as Maniac were both in disagreement on Toy Story. As Maniac like Toy Story 4. Derpy says Toy Story 3 is where it ended. And so the last one I saw, Derpy, so I'm just going to agree with you based on principle. Um, and then let's see. Look at all the crazy shit that Batman does in animation. It's hard to believe that is a man without powers, and which is why I think Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is still the best Batman movie.
But what I'm saying is then I would prefer to just read the comic book than watch a movie. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
mean,
I
I
prefer to
think
read
though,
it.
if the movie is well done, the animation is well done, it brings the comic book to life, and it brings that experience that you really want. Listen, everybody that read a comic book would
That
love to see an animation of that.
you really want. I want something different.
See how defensive he's getting, guys? He's
But
getting so
you're
defensive.
just no, but you're acting like that what we all want is what you want.
I know, because what it is, what that is what I want is what everybody wants. Just saw official teaser of Grease prequel. I'm going to throw up and need therapy. What did I just watch? Did not even know that was a thing. To be honest with you,
I didn't need.
Invincible was awesome. Yes, it was. Thank you.
I think it's great. I do. I just
And
like
I
would
like
have.
them both.
I would have. The boys I prefer over the Invincible.
Well, that's a tough one, man. I don't know. I thought Invincible was pretty genius. I thought the boys are genius too, though. So let's
It's
go ahead.
going to resonate with me more.
Let's go ahead and let's move on to the next topic. You're hired. Let me do it like Vince McMahon. You're hired.
I wonder if
Vinnie
he had
Mac gives a
surgery.
finger to Me Too. Guys, Me Too was a huge movement in our history, but it don't seem to be really taking anybody down. We'll see what happens with another guy that's been in the news here.
It did
Might
for
as
a
well tie
little
that
while.
story into this one. Huh?
It did for a little while, but it seems to be slowing down now.
Yeah. So Harvey Weinstein is also, we're going to get his announcement of his guilt or not here soon.
February 23rd.
Yeah. So we'll
And
have a couple more episodes before that happens.
That's just on like 2 or 3 of the trials. He's still got all kinds of other cases that are against him.
Yeah, but didn't he already beat some of those charges?
I think that there's a couple of these beaten, but I think some of them. I think there's a couple, just like in any situation, there's a couple people that tried to ride the train.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And those people got tossed out. But I think that there are a decent amount of legitimate people.
Oh, hey, listen, where there's smoke, there's fire. And apparently people have known about this douchebag for a long time.
Right.
Now, Vinnie Mac, it's a little bit more complicated situation. So let's go into the history of Vinnie Mac. Baba was not aware of the history of the Vinnie Mac, so let's go ahead and talk to
Well, see, and that was the thing. I always thought that when I saw him as an announcer that he had some sort of past wrestling career. That's what I just assumed.
He never. I mean, he started wrestling well after he was an owner. With the whole thing with him and Stone Cold happened. That's the first time he actually, what the industry insiders like to call take bumps, right? When you're in the ring and you're bumping around and pretending to be hit, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the first time he did. So Vince McMahon, I saw an interesting tweet because for those of you who don't know, Vince McMahon got semi-Me Too. It came out that he had, an affair with some employees. There may have been some sexual harassment with some other employees. We don't know. A bunch of hush money was paid, and it was paid using company money, right? And some NDAs were thrown out there. So whether or not it was a total Me Too situation or just some indiscretions that he cheated on his wife, we're not 100% sure. But we know there were some improper relationships going on. And this news was leaked to try to force Vince McMahon, the longtime CEO and head writer and head creative director of WWE, out of his position. I think this is interesting because I saw a tweet. Actually, let's go back a little bit. So he resigned. His daughter and son-in-law have taken over, and WWE product-wise, from an entertainment standpoint, as far as the fans are concerned, has been much better TV since he's left, and since Triple H, his son-in-law, has been in charge. Triple H, of course, a former wrestler who used to feud with The Rock and Stone Cold, who we all know from our teenage years or childhood. Right?
Oh boy,
yeah. So Vince McMahon has now put himself back in charge. Now he says, "Listen, I'm not taking over creatively. I'm putting myself back in charge because I want to sell this company finally, and I'm going to either negotiate a new rights deal or negotiate a deal to sell the company." And he was always majority shareholder. They could never take that away from him because when you're rich and you're white, no matter how much trouble you get in, they can't take it away from you, right? So
I need my
yeah. So that brings us to our current state of Vinnie Mac. And like I said, a lot of people don't know his history because I saw a tweet and somebody kind of tried to jump on the bandwagon and said, "Hey, Vinnie Mac, your dad gave you your company. How come you don't just give your company to your kids?" And I thought it was interesting because if you know the history of Vinnie Mac, he was a bastard. His dad impregnated his mom and then told his mom, "Hey, here's a couple $100." Literally, I think just like a couple $100 because this is back in the day. I got nothing to do with you. You stay living in this trailer. So Vince McMahon grew up in this trailer, was illiterate growing up, was always getting fights, didn't finish school, didn't know who his dad was. Found out who his dad was when he was a teenager. His dad finally came to meet him. And he grew up loving the WWF at that time. And so he was excited when he found out who his dad was, Vince McMahon Sr., the head of the WWF, and begged his dad for a job. His dad didn't want to bring him on. eventually relented and gave him some jobs building some rings, doing some manual labor. And then Vince McMahon works his way up to the announcer position and then eventually buys in to part of his dad's company. Now, eventually, his dad would sell him the company, but it's not like how people think it is. People think his dad was doing him a solid and saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I never
son, I
knew this
love you.
part.
Yeah, here's part of the company and you can own it." No, his dad tried to fuck him. His dad tried to screw him. His dad gave him a balloon note with such a high interest rate that was going to come into effect after 3 years that most people inside the industry thought that there was no way he was going to pay this loan off, and that meant his dad was going to get to keep whatever money he'd already gotten, plus take back control of the company. And that was very much what that loan was designed to do. Vince McMahon took a risk and decided to go ahead and go forward with an idea he had for a little event we call WrestleMania, which everybody thought was going to fail. All the territories that he was going up against thought he was going to fail. The vultures were circling around his company to pick up the bones once WrestleMania failed, and it did not fail. And Vince McMahon took over the wrestling industry, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, that's a badass story, dude. That's definitely a little like he's a little bit of a badass, you know? Cutthroat, got up there, man, fought through everything.
Wrestling, listen, Esmaic, wrestling in the UK is like owning a gun. We just don't see it. I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah, and that's it was huge over here, man. Like as when I was growing up, I mean, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, you know, Macho Man Randy Savage,
The
Ravishing
British
Crew,
Bulldog as Maniac.
Hacksaw. That's funny, British Bulldog, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, all that stuff. I remember they had the cartoon, you know, like all of
Rock
it.
and wrestling, yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah,
And no, I was just going to say that it just definitely is something that is a part of American culture, at least from the 80s on for me. I know it was big in the 70s as well, but the 80s on is where it's really started growing like mass.
yeah, so he took wrestling, it used to just be territories, and he turned it into a national, you know, event, a huge company. It would eventually become public after it went downhill for a little bit in the early 90s. Then Stone Cold and The Rock happened and it had its resurgence. And then it became a publicly traded company. So he turned something that was basically like the circus into a mega corporation. And he got forced out. And now he's come back in and he's looking to sell the company. Now, a lot of evaluators are saying, hey, listen, the company is valued at a few $1 billion, but you're going to have trouble getting that for your content. It seems very problematic as far as the investors really wanting to go ahead and buy the company and pay it the valuation that he thinks it has, that a lot of people think it has. So we'll see what happens with it. But it could be the end of an era. And so I thought, from an entertainment standpoint, it definitely deemed something newsworthy to talk about on this channel because a lot of people grew up being wrestling fans.
It's definitely newsworthy, and if it's the end of an era, that'd be some crazy stuff. But you know what I see is wrestling always using angles. I always see the WWF or the WWE, WCW, as many changes it's gone through. I always see them using an angle to still stay relevant. So I have to say, in all honesty, I could see a good way for them to start really keeping this moving and keeping the fans, but also gaining a new fan base in a sense is get some right-wing politicians to come out there and start, making a stand for not wrestling, not them wrestling, but maybe that like them endorsing somebody else that's endorsing them
I already
as
did
a
it,
wrestler.
man. Donald Trump was already on WrestleMania years ago. Vince McMahon is actually Vince McMahon's wife is a Republican senator.
But he did that before he was president, though.
Yeah, but Vince McMahon's wife has unsuccessfully run for Senate a couple of times, and that's the only reason they stayed married, honestly, so he could fund her failed Senate run. So,
but I'm telling you, man, the way politicians are tweeting it up and everything these days, they're getting less and less regal and eloquent with their behavior. That
yeah,
I can see them just using the wrestling platform at some point.
That's hilarious. Listen, wrestling has become trash. Nerds have destroyed wrestling. Nerds be just listen. I'm a nerd, but sometimes when you guys get into stuff, you end up killing stuff, right? Hey, go watch AEW. That's some of the worst trash you'll ever see in your life. Try to watch it without bleeding through your eyeballs and your ears. It's god awful. And it's a bunch of nerds running a wrestling promotion, and it's about how you think it would be like when nerds start running stuff. I get this. I bitch about this with writers all the time. I'm like, hey, nerds. I understand nerds are writers are nerds. Nerds are writers. They're one and the same. Just remember, being a nerd isn't cool. That's why this Dungeons and Dragons trailer that we talked about last episode
looks terrible.
Don't kid yourself. Dungeons and Dragons is not stylish and cool. That's not how you how you promote a Dungeons and Dragons movie. So
Well, and the only way a Dungeons and Dragons movie is going to be cool or anything is if the only that when you see it at the very end, say Dungeons and Dragons, and then you're like, oh shit, this is a Dungeons and Dragons
I got
movie.
you.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like something that's like dark and it's medieval and it looks closer to like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. And then you see it. That's the only way it's going to work. You can't be like, it looks like that they're putting on a play. Like in this new trailer, that literally like with their costumes and the way they're running into frame and everything, it's like this literally looks like a Peter Pan play or something.
Yeah, dude, it's
Looks
listen,
terrible.
it's just every trope in the book, and the movie just plays up on the trope. How many attempts at Dungeons and Dragons are they going to make? I don't know. Listen, we can blame Stranger Things for this because Stranger Things, but the way Stranger Things brought Dungeons and Dragons back into pop culture, back in the mind frame of pop culture, was by acknowledging the fact that this is a nerdy thing.
Nerd thing, yeah.
Yeah, and there's something endearing about embracing the nerdiness of something instead
I
of
just
trying to make it cool. I think that's where nerd wrestling uh, really gets it wrong is a bunch of if you like a different type of wrestling, that's fine, but when you like something that's obviously very nerdy and you insist that it's cool and that's what it needs to be, you're going to lose a lot of the normal people out there.
right. It has to be its niche thing.
Yeah.
And also with Dungeons and Dragons, part of the cool fun of the game is that you're playing a game and it's never going to be able to be the same game. Like Monopoly, yeah, somebody will win or lose this time or this time, but it's the same things happening every time you play the game. Dungeons and Dragons, you have a dungeon master who comes up with different rules, a different storyline, all these different things, and the way the die is. Part of the fun of the game is the expanse of the unknown. You can't narrow that down into one movie and call it Dungeons and Dragons and it's this storyline because Dungeons and Dragons isn't a storyline. It's an alternate reality to have fun with for a little while. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, though, this Dungeons and Dragons movie probably would have been cool if it was an anime.
Yeah, I mean, that's another way to just dag it into the dirt.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Nick Cage says Captain Kirk is greater than Luke. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's this is an article in Variety. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up, where they basically talked to Nick Cage about his movie The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent and his co-star Pedro Pascal, and he let it drop that Pedro Pascal, who was a lead of the Mandalorian, this is a quote from Variety, once said he wanted to recruit Cage onto the show. Asked about this by Yahoo Entertainment, Cage rejected the idea of joining any Star Wars property because his loyalty lies with Star Trek. I'm not really down, Cage said, noting he grew up watching William Shatner as Captain Kirk and idolizing the original Star Trek series. I'm a Trekkie, man. I'm on the Star Trek Enterprise. That's where I roll. Cage would go on to compliment Chris Pine's performance as Captain Kirk, as well as the J.J. Abrams movies.
Well,
Bobo, thoughts?
Well, I just like when we were talking about it earlier, it makes a lot of sense. It's like I don't see him being a Star Wars type of guy. He's already eccentric, and I think that if there's a no nerd culture out there, I think it's arguably even possibly the nerdiest culture of them all is the Trekkie culture.
Listen, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I think you're right. I think we'd have no way to prove that, but I'm going to go ahead and give that thumbs up in my book.
And
Also,
it's full of eccentric people, and so we all know that Cage is very eccentric. But I do think that honestly, him showing up in either franchises would be a mistake. You can't have somebody Nicolas Cage showing up in a franchise like that.
whoa. Nick Cage, the Sith Lord? Come on. Don't tell me that's not fire.
Yeah, that'd be.
Yo, Nick Cage is Jar Jar Binks? Come on, Bobo.
Look, would I go see it? Yes, but would it be another mistake? All I could see was the idea of going to see a movie is to watch the movie and believe the characters. If I'm watching Nick Cage in a Star Wars movie, all I'm thinking is, I can't believe Nick Cage is in this Star Wars movie.
Man, just make him look like an. Listen, he was in Into the Spider-Verse.
But that was very much a weird thing that was able to work because it was such a comedy point of the film, and it was only his voice. But you could want to put some comedy into Star Wars, and people are ready for that.
They've tried that already several times, right? It's not like Star Wars is hollow ground where they don't try cheap comedy. They've done that in every movie,
into the Galactic
with a lot of failure. But you can make Nick Cage a CGI character.
Yeah, I guess so, because like all the droids, you had Bill Hader playing BB-8. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. So it could work, man. I think he'd be much better off. But then
I
again,
want to see a Ghost Rider 3.
Nick Cage running the USS Enterprise would also be fire. So, yeah, I mean,
Captain Kirk. Could you see him sitting on the
dude,
chair?
he's 0.5 Shatner. He's 0.5 on the Shatner scale for sure, man.
Oh, I would say, like, if there's any two people that are eccentric and sort of like if somebody were to be like, whoa, we just found out they did a biology test at Ancestry screening, Nick Cage is actually William Shatner's son, I'd be like,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense,
Yeah.
So,
I can just see him now. Captain's log.
yeah. It's like, Scott. That'd be so funny. And then
making that crazy Nick. I think I included a image of that crazy Nick Cage face if you got that on there.
Oh yeah, I already put it up.
Oh yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
that's from
Listen,
Face Off, your favorite
that
movie.
says Sith Lord, and it also says Vulcan.
Well, look here. This says Sith Lord, doesn't it?
Yeah. Listen, man, I'm telling you, Nick Cage, don't doubt his his compatibility with various titles. He's very versatile. He's a very versatile actor.
Hey, look at this. As Maniac says, we don't need him in either. I'd watch with the Captain on Star Trek though.
Yeah, come on, as Maniac. Yo, man, he'd be a dope captain.
Hey, look, and he also saying that he has no say on really.
Yeah, I put that up earlier. Yeah.
I don't think that Ghost Rider is a good movie. I kind of enjoy Spirits of Vengeance a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because of Idris and just the tone and the way it looks, but there's something about that that's fun to me.
This is my disbelief face.
I'm not going to recommend the movie to anybody.
How many bad comic movies are you going to defend, man?
I can have fun with certain things.
Good Lord.
Look, people have to understand the difference between, look, you have to know me.
Right,
I'm a guy who likes to get the joy out of everything.
The Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie? Do you defend that movie?
No, because that one literally.
At least we have a line. There's a line that will not be crossed, apparently.
Now, do I think it? But that one's like Batman and Robin. That one's funny to watch because of how bad it is.
Thomas Jane, Punisher, and Daredevil. Here's the thing. The Thomas Jane did a short. I don't know if you ever saw that short he did. I think it was called like Laundry or something, where he did his redid his Punisher for a YouTube short, trying to basically put out a sizzle reel to get another chance as Punisher in the Marvel Universe. It was obviously before they cast John Bernthal as John Bernthal / Punisher, or like I like to call him, Punisher in Netflix shows Shane the Punisher.
Yeah, Shane the Punisher.
Yeah, saw the short. Yeah, it was good. So he was good in that. So he's a little old now, though. I think, right?
He's doing a lot of movies, though, man. But a lot of them are those straight to streaming or straight to Walmart type movies. But I mean, he's doing them, and they're with other actors as well. Like he's got one out called Slayers now with Malin Ackerman. It's like a vampire movie.
What was that one Punisher? Was it War Games or something like that?
Warzone.
Thank you. Yeah, that one was okay, I guess.
So that one was very, very, very comic booky, but it was real looking, and that's what. And when it had Ray Stevenson playing the Frank Castle, and he was very much the way I always thought of Frank in the comics. The way he looked, his build, like he wasn't a pretty boy, but he was masculine enough to where you could think that he could get a hot girl, but he wasn't like Thomas Jane. I like that guy. I just don't believe he's Frank Castle. I just don't. That's not the Frank.
All right, cast Frank Castle for me right now.
Well, I honestly thought Ray Stevenson did a good job, so I'm going to go with someone that's more of that look. And you're making me just think, and of course I'm drawing a blank. But
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, just like he was awesome as Johnny Storm. I mean that'd be something I have to think about. I bet you Asmaniac will comment. Asmaniac, who do you think should play that?
Don't say Shane from The Walking Dead.
No, Frank.
Listen, I liked his Frank Castle in season 2 of Daredevil, but that Punisher Netflix series was trash.
We need to get you like a thing where it's like.
Now, listen, we're forgetting one of the greatest Punishers of all time,
Dolph Lundgren.
That's right, baby. You knew exactly where I was going with that one.
Oh yeah, that's a canon special right there. That's Dolph Lundgren in a movie that was made in the 80s. Is about a bunch of crime stuff. Oh, and they happen to call it The Punisher.
Yeah.
And Louis Gossett Jr. Yeah.
Some guy named John Beck played the Punisher. Oh, it was in the Spider-Man animated series. Okay, gotcha.
But no, I think that Ray Stevenson did a good job of that. One of the things that kind of threw me off on that movie, though, was Dominic Senna. Is that his name?
I don't remember.
No, Dominic, but you'd recognize the actor, but he was playing Jigsaw in that. And they went too much with the makeup and the sewn up face and everything. And like, it was just, they could have done that better. Like, it looked too Batman and Robinish. You know what I mean?
Lou Gossett. I like this one right here from Esmaniac. Jensen Ankles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would make a
That's what he's saying ankles. It's Ackles, but he always
Yeah.
calls him Jensen Ankles to me. It's a little inside joke.
Yeah,
No,
I think
see that, but see that, to me, that's too much of a pretty boy. I think somebody who's a little bit like more of a, like, okay, you remember how Vincent D'Onofrio was in Adventures of Babysitting when he was Thor, and he worked in that mechanic shop, and he was like super like bowed up, but he wasn't bowed up. That's kind of how I look at the Punisher. I don't look at the Punisher as being like a Schwarzenegger build or a Rock build. I look at the Punisher as just being some solid dude that you just can't knock down because he was in the military and he's been through some shit, but he's not necessarily a pretty boy.
What if Dwayne the Rock Johnson played the Punisher?
It'd be hilarious, dude.
Yo, no, actually, you know who would be great? Our new James Bond.
I can say, okay, he's rugged enough to where I could see him pulling that off, but he's also a chameleon actor. He pulls off all kind of different roles all the time. You don't even recognize him.
Vincent Vaughn, that new prison movie.
No, in Brawler or Brawl and Cell Block D or whatever.
What about Tom Hardy?
I could see that maybe.
We'll make this a video. We don't want to take up too much time because we're at the 40-minute mark. But yeah, we definitely have to do that video for sure. Or that live stream.
Marvel changes.
Yeah. Okay, excuse me. Let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. Wednesday Bodies 11 plus season 2 on the way. So there was a new.
I still haven't rewatched it yet.
I haven't either. Yeah, and it's all your fault, man. You sold me on this show sucking, and I haven't been able to get myself back to it. So, but
just because the masses say they're great doesn't mean we're going to like
it. Hey, listen, TV Times or TV Time, that hallowed institution, TV Time online, did a poll, and Wednesday beat 11 as the most popular TV character of 2022. On top of that, it was renewed for season 2. Jenna Ortega said thank you to the fans. She also said fuck you to Bobo for dragging on her show. And
if anybody listens to me, you know I love Jenna Ortega. I just didn't care for that approach to the Addams Family universe.
Yeah, just because they had powers.
I know. That's not something that needs to be a part of that universe for me. And it was never existing, so I don't. It seems like new lore to me.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is though, I don't like. I'm trying to think about Addams Family lore, and it was just a comedy show, so I don't think that's why I don't know if it really had established lore. Whatever the lore was for
me, what it was, especially since Addams Family and the Munsters were on at the same time, they came on around the same year, I think. I think that the idea was that they were living in a real world, and they were the only ones like that. If it was just Wednesday, but my problem is when it started feeling like, oh, we got an X-Men vibe here, or like School for the Mrs. Pettigrew's Peculiar Children, or the Dark Shadows. Like that all felt like very bandwagony to me.
So here's the problem, though, if you're a writer, because I understand what you're saying. Okay, because I don't want you to get upset too much in this podcast.
Well, yeah.
Keep your blood pressure in check. But listen, I understand what you're saying, but if I'm a writer, let me say if I put it to you this way. Okay, we have the Addams Family. Addams Family is a hallowed show. We can try to remake the Addams Family, and nobody's going to care if we do the same thing. How about we try to make it different?
See, to me, you're already making the wrong step. If you're asking your questions that yourself, but if people are done with the Addams Family, how do we brush it off? Like, I'm not about brushing off shit on something old and keeping it alive. I'm about moving forward with just new stuff.
That's exactly what they did, though. I mean, look, X-Maniac's comment. Don't know if it's hype, but I'm done with the Addams Family. I mean, listen.
No, what I'm saying is that if you have to change something that was what it was to make it interesting again, then you're just tell a new story of something different and leave what it was. It's just like the Matrix.
I agree with you, but look at the proof is in the pudding, man. This show's a smash.
That's fine, and it can be. It doesn't mean it's not. I don't like that direction of it. I would have much preferred more of a haunty element rather than this sort of teeny bopper, just vibe to it. Again, if that's what they're going for, that's cool. That's why I stopped watching it.
It's not because the lead actor is a woman, is it?
I love Jenna Ortega.
I'm just kidding.
Look, and I love You. She was great in You, and I think she was only in first and second season, maybe even just the first season, but I liked her in a lot of stuff, but I didn't like her in The Babysitter 2, but I thought that entire movie was bad. I don't think that was her fault. I think that was McGee's fault.
Yeah, listen, I just had to make sure you weren't going red pill YouTube on me. You know, we got enough of those channels.
Yeah, see,
We get too much competition with those
the only reason that anybody would think that is because you keep trying to say it.
channels. Maybe where there's smoke, there's fire. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
No, if anybody's watched this channel before you got on it, they would know that I don't do this kind of stuff. You just instigate things and try to put words in my mouth.
Am I putting words in his mouth, or am I
You're
highlighting
trying
certain words
to.
that he's saying and uncovering the truth?
No,
We'll
you're
find
trying
out.
to.
We'll find out in coming weeks, guys. This is only episode 25. We got more episodes to go, so the truth shall be uncovered.
Yeah, I love Jenna Ortega.
All right. Well, Jenna Ortega is apparently more loved than 11 even. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Jenna Ortega on Wednesday. And you know what? We'll watch it. We got a lot of stuff for Bobo to watch, though. Bobo has been super busy. I give him a hard time for slacking. I was going to make a joke, but honestly, he's been super busy making a lot of good original content for your eyeballs that we hope to be seeing soon. So,
Yeah,
but hopefully we can get him. We can get him on track here, and that way he can get me on track.
you son of a bitch.
What if, Bobo, no one gives a fuck? Because that seems to be the case here with a couple of shows from Marvel that are getting delayed. Now, I did, like most people, I enjoyed What If Season 1. I thought it was pretty uneven, but for the most part, it was a good experience. But that's apparently been delayed. This is all according to direct.com, thedirect.com, which I don't know how reliable it is, so take this all with a grain of salt, people. What If Season 2 has been delayed to 2024. Echo has been delayed to early 2024. Agatha Coven of Chaos has been delayed to possibly 2025. And the world yawned in response because I don't know if anybody cares about any of those shows.
I mean, the What If one, I think I was telling you earlier, I think it's cool and I'm fine with it sticking around because it's anthology based. So it's sort of like you got to every episode, it's like, oh, let's see if this one's good.
Mhm.
But I don't care about the Echo character at all. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't care about a solo Agatha show. That's fine if you want to put her as a character in a Wanda show or something like that. But I don't need a solo Agatha show. I just don't.
Interesting, interesting. So we don't care about a show with somebody with disabilities or witches.
I just don't care.
Now, you know what? Nobody cares about Echo. Funny story about Echo. I think the biggest break she got in comics was when she was unmasked as Ronin, which those of you who saw Avengers Endgame probably remember the comic Ronin. It was Hawkeye, right? Spoiler. In the comics, Ronan was originally introduced, and Brian Michael Bendis introduced the character, and it was going to be a surprise. You know, hey, it's this
I
character.
remember that the New Avengers is what it was
Yeah,
in.
and he threw out a bunch of hints at who Ronan was, and the internet immediately figured out that was going to be Daredevil, and so he panicked and changed the character to Echo, and that's the last time anybody cared about that character. and pretty soon people kept quit caring about Ronan altogether. Listen, Echo's a nice side character. I don't know how you're going to go ahead and have her carry a series. However, if you're Marvel, you're saying, well, you know what? People said the same thing about Iron Man. People said the same thing about the Incredible Hulk. People said the same thing about Captain America. Those were all C-list characters. The Incredible Hulk was a little bit more mainstream, but Iron Man and Captain America were C-list characters when Marvel Universe started.
Well, yeah, they for mainstream people, not for comic bookers. People that read comics
Even
love those
comic bookers, yeah. I mean, listen, comic bookers, they like those characters, but they were definitely considered C-list characters.
Yeah, but well, I would say more like B list, not C list. I'd say B list in the comics, but definitely C list in the movie mainstream, like maybe even D list in the movie
Yeah.
world. But I think the difference between Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, those guys have awesome, cool, badass things that make them that are appealing. They just weren't marketed well because for some reason Spider-Man and Wolverine and Batman and all that were taking over. But I just don't know if Echo has any of that that's just gonna like, man, dude, look how badass she looks standing on that mountain with her what? You know, but with Captain America, it's like, look at him, his fucking shield, and he's got the little ears. Yeah, it's Cap, it's Thor with the hammer, it's Iron Man in the suit with the light. But with Echo, like, I just don't know if that's on the same plane. Sorry.
Yeah, Echo is definitely diversity, right? It's a diversity push. And
Don't
listen,
patronize the world. Don't patronize the world by just putting this stuff out so you can say, look, we're doing it for you.
Bubba really chose the red pill today.
I'm saying do things for the right reason because
Hey,
if
listen.
you're
All
making
right,
a movie,
all right, calm down. Listen, you're right. For the most part, you're right. Echo is
tell me to calm down.
it's a diversity. You're getting a little heated today, Baba.
Oh,
What's okay?
dude,
I just want to make sure you're
I can
okay.
be myself on my channel.
Oh, damn! Now it's his channel, guys. I've already been demoted.
It's our channel, but I'm saying I don't have to just start settling down. I can be the way I want to be.
Are you a little excitable? Are you a little excited? It's okay though. I understand, man. Listen, we woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It happens.
No,
Sometimes.
you trying to boss me around in front of people conveys that this is your show and not mine. It's our show, so I'm going to be the way I'm going to be.
All right, all right, I got you. Echo, listen, it's diversity for the sake of diversity, right? And I'm a big believer in diversity, but when it's done right, because I think you definitely want to go ahead and always keep evolving, and you need new ideas and new perspectives to evolve. And that's why diversity in companies is great if you're promoting people that actually have diverse experiences. For example, if your CEOs are all of different ethnic backgrounds, but they all come from the same business school and learned business the same way, it's not really diversity, right? But if you have a CEO that came from Harvard Business School, your next CEO was somebody who grew up on the streets and started a business and then created it into a multi-billion dollar company, and they become your new CEO, they bring an entire new fresh set of perspectives. And you can do the same thing with comic book characters when they're diverse if your writing is on point. And that's been the problem with Marvel TV is their writing has not been on point,
So I'm
right?
saying you have to give us something that's worth making.
So I don't blame that on the character. I do think taking a character like Echo, where she has a disability, if you put it in the hands of a good writer, they can create something really creative and cool. I don't have faith that this stable Marvel writers can do that.
But I look, disability, woman, all that stuff, that's fine. Like Daredevil had disability.
Mhm.
There are plenty of people in the comic books. I'm trying to think of a woman right off the top of my head. Batgirl, one of the ones, Cassandra Cain, she was mute, may not be a disability, but it was a problem for her.
Mhm.
All these characters I like, but there's something way more that there's something majestic, there's something marveling, there's something that when you that when you look at it without knowing any of that, you're like, whoa. And I just don't think that any character can do that just because, like, yes, she has a disability, but what else is it about her that
Yeah,
makes
I'm
her a
saying is it's up to the
superhero?
writers. You and I are agreeing, man. It's got to be good writing. It's got to be good creative. And
But I'm
so
saying you can't turn a character into that. It has to be that from the get-go. Like Wolverine was that from the
Well,
beginning.
I'll argue with you is Echo is enough of a blank slate where you can make wholesale changes to Echo and make it possibly make it that, and audiences aren't going to mind. There's nobody that's going to be like, it's not like the comic books when it comes to a character like Echo. So creatively, I can see whereas you're creative and you're going to it, you're like, yeah, listen, I want to do Echo because it's more of a blank slate, and I feel like I can have more of my own voice, own writing style in this character without having to worry about what the comic book said or did, right? With that being said, I'm not really interested in Echo, so I don't even know why we're arguing about this. It would be like trying to make a Bullseye movie. Bullseye would be a fire movie as Maniac. They can't make Captain Marvel work or She-Hulk. We don't need the Echo show. And listen, you're exactly right. And that's kind of the point I'm making is I don't have faith that this creative can do that. With that being said, I don't take it out of the character because I could see a lot of what appeals to the character to writers and what could make it a cool show. I just don't think any of that's going to happen. And I think we're on the same page on that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just never thought that it was a character that just, I don't know, had enough of a
No,
punch.
we agree on that.
But
But I
I don't
think
think you should change that though. I think that you create characters that have the punch. You don't like take a bad character and turn it into something awesome or try to turn it.
I guarantee you there's been times in fiction where that's happened. And I don't think it will happen. I just think that would be the appeal to me as a writer is maybe I can make that happen if I'm good enough, right? Agatha was a great character in the show. I just don't see where the appeal is of having her carry the show. However, Catherine Hahn is a badass actress. So, and of all of them, if I had to say one that I would probably, you could probably, if you had to twist my arm and say, hey, you got to pick one of these to go through. Well, obviously it's going to be What If season 2. But if that's not a choice, I would say Agatha because Catherine Hahn, I think, is a badass, and I could see her doing some great stuff.
She's funny and she's a good
Yeah.
actor and she added a lot to WandaVision. Like
Okay.
she wasn't just a side character that became a villain. Like she added a lot to the entire show.
Yep. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. Ant-Man still filming, and I think I have some pictures here that I gave you of the tweet from the source. I think it was paulrudddirect.com or Paul Rudd Direct on Twitter. Posted some footage of Paul Rudd on set. This is weeks before this movie is about to air, they are still filming. Now, we don't know what they're filming. We don't know if it's a big deal, but it could be potentially alarming. Baba, what are your thoughts?
I'm not worried about this at all. If they're filming this right here, it's because they had another joke they wanted to put in there. This looks like the Baskin Robbins scene or maybe a post-credit scene, something like that. But if they were out there on wires and he was in the suit and they had green screens behind him and all that, that would be worried. But a shot like that, man, that kind of stuff happens all the time. They could have it right now, and there's a shot on there where they're rewatching the final product, and there's an awesome moment where he's carrying that box, and it's a cool joke, and they just realize, oh man, this whole thing over here is in frame. We got all right. Let's just go reshoot that real quick.
Okay.
Most of the
Yeah, I
time,
agree.
these movies are like something like that.
I agree. I think Twitter making a mountain out of a molehill, which brings us to our next topic. Twitter is stupid, Bob. More dumb people on Twitter, about 12.9 thousand dumb people on Twitter, have petitioned the WB to sell the Snyderverse to Netflix. All right. This has all sorts of problems. Okay. First of all, let's talk about IP. Baba, Snyderverse, IP, who does it belong to?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think it belongs to Warner Brothers, but I don't think Snyder has any sort of actual full ownership over it.
Right, but what is the IP of it? Let's ask a better question. What is the IP involved in Snyderverse Justice League?
Um, all the Justice League we've seen so far.
What are the characters? What's the
Yeah,
IP
so
of the characters?
Superman, Batman, Aquaman.
So if you're WB, would you ever sell those characters to anybody else for a movie franchise?
No.
Those are billions of dollars tied in those characters.
Well,
You're
I
not
think
just selling a movie universe.
no, I think what they're trying to do is differentiate the two. Like, for example, there's the Ezra Miller Flash and there's the Grant Gustin Flash,
Yeah,
which the CW is not WB. It's just they're part of the same thing. CW has been trying to be sold off by Warner Brothers. So, for example, the TV incarnations of those characters aren't the same and aren't owned by the same group of people as the movie incarnations of those
no,
characters.
that's licensing. Licensing works differently, right? So you can license if that was a petition, hey, license those characters to Netflix to do the Snyderverse. That would be one thing, but it's selling them to the Snyderverse. That's stupid. You're never going to sell an IP that's billions of dollars. You'd be losing. You're idiots. Make sure you know the difference before you tweet something stupid.
Yeah.
Secondly, why would Netflix spend all this money on Snyderverse movies?
Well, they're first off, Netflix will spend a lot of money on anything.
That's a lot of money. That was like hundreds of $1 million just for that Snyderverse movie to come out.
Yeah, but look, Netflix, not saying that they would do this, but Netflix has bought a lot more stuff for way more astronomical parts of money. The way Netflix operates is solely on an investor system. None of their stuff they're like, if you look at their debt right now, it's crazy the debt that they're in.
Yeah, it's called debt to income ratio, right? So I used to be a financial advisor, for those who don't know. Do a lot of researching on stocks. Netflix has a ton of debt. However, when it comes to companies like Netflix, when you're looking at a perspective for economic health, you can't quite look at normal metrics like debt to income ratio because user information is very valuable for internet companies, for technology companies like Netflix, and where their value is lines in the hundreds of millions of users they have in their database and all the information.
But it also lies
on their viewing habits,
and them losing those viewers a ton each year, and it keeps on going down.
Right, but they still got that information to sell. So what I look at, people were always worried about Netflix financially, and I always scoffed at them because of what's happened. I said this for years, and now it's happening. Whenever Netflix wants to turn on the revenue button, all they have to do is start doing different membership tiers and certain lower ones that include advertising. And as soon as that happened,
they already have.
Yeah,
it's already been announced.
That's what I just said.
He said they have to start doing it.
No, I said this before, and they just started doing it now. So yeah, they're going to start including advertisers in lower tiers, and that's going to be a ton of revenue for Netflix, right? And so, from a debt to income ratio, that'll help alleviate a lot of those concerns.
All right. Well, yeah, you clearly have it all figured out.
Yeah, of course I do. That's what I do. I figure things out. I drink and I know things. Not really drink anymore though. Let's move on to the next one. Jessica who? Jessica Jones. It's a Mike Jones joke for those of you. There's I don't know if I sent you the picture. I thought I did.
You
Kristen
did.
Ritter was spotted in the gym getting her workout on, wearing a very interesting shirt. Bobo, why don't you let the people know what that symbol means?
That's DD. That's Daredevil.
Yeah, we know that's not a breast size.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, DD for Daredevil. So it's that's started a lot of
Your phone's
speculation.
buzzing on the table. It's really loud.
There's a lot of speculation that that means that she's going to be in Daredevil Reborn, and I think you had another rumor regarding Daredevil, right?
Well, I just think that they're all going to be in it. I think that Jessica Jones, and for some reason I thought this was Jessica Jones. Now I see that it's not. It's Echo. But
Yeah.
I think that John Berthal and Jessica Jones are both going to be in Daredevil. At least that's what the rumors are saying right now.
John Bernthal's Punisher was only interesting in Daredevil, so if he's going to be in Daredevil, I would love to see it. Man, of all the Netflix shows, the only one that was consistently good from season to season to me was Daredevil. With that being said, I really started to wear out on that Netflix style of writing for the superhero shows. You know, the extra drama, the family tension, the
Yeah.
friend tension. Like I make that joke all the time about the daddy issues, but that's really what a lot of their shows were about: daddy issues. And it got to the point where it's like when it's in every show, you start noticing it. You're like, and it becomes a trope, right? And so I'm going back and forth. This Daredevil show has a new, fresh set of writers. I'm willing to give it a chance, but then again, we saw with She-Hulk, Marvel writers, as far as their TV writers are concerned, aren't always where it's at either. So I don't
Well,
know.
and it's 17, 18, 19 episodes or something like that. So I mean, already that's kind of got me worried.
Yeah, yeah. So my excitement level for this is waning, and even Jessica Jones returning has not really got me super excited yet because Jessica Jones season 2 was garbage. You didn't watch it, huh?
Mm-mm.
You didn't watch season 1, did you?
Mm-mm. I've watched
Season,
very little bit of it, but that was the time that all those were popping, like Iron Fist and Defenders and all that, and I just didn't. I really didn't care.
Iron Fist was super trash, dog.
Yeah,
Iron Fist was the whole dumpster.
I remember. I feel like I remember having like moments of that, like waiting for it to be good, but just nothing ever happened. And wasn't he kind of a wuss in it?
Yeah, he couldn't fight. I mean, the actor whose name I'm forgetting at the moment, he's kind of complained. He's like, "Listen, I didn't have enough time to get ready for it." There's also been rumors that he wasn't interested in getting ready for the fight scenes. And let's be honest, he doesn't have that look. He doesn't have the look of a badass.
Mm-mm.
I don't care if it's kung fu and you can get away with being a little bit more stylistic. And yeah, Jet Li's not a super imposing guy either, but he's practiced kung fu seriously for his entire life, and he's very very good at it, right. And I just make Iron Fist Asian, and just have it be tied into Asian culture, you know.
Well, but what the Danny Rand character they're trying to use, that's the popular one with the Power Man and Iron Fist combo, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I get it. Danny Rand in the comics is a white blonde guy. It was also written in the '70s, where you know
That's what I'm saying.
Asian main characters weren't really that popular.
Just because it was there didn't mean they had to remake it that way, though, you know? And
Yeah, listen,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
watch Luke Cage either.
Yeah, listen, not to get too far. We can do an entire movie about this. I read a lot of Chinese cultivation novels. I think that would be a great concept for an Iron Fist show, and I would like to see them do that. That's getting off subject. With that being said, yeah, it seems kind of cool that they may be bringing back Jessica Jones, and I know a lot of people are getting hot and bothered by it and really excited about it. But right now, if I had to rank my excitement level, I would say it's a 5. I'm interested just because Daredevil had a good track record, but I'm not excited.
I'm interested just to see what it's going to be. I'm just interested to see how similar in tone, if it's going to be totally different in tone, what they're doing is what I'm interested in. I'm not excited about Jessica Jones. I'm just curious. It's like, all right, what is this? Because if you're going to be embarking on these three characters within Daredevil, I mean, if you're including Jessica Jones, I would assume that Luke Cage has got to be in there somewhere at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know. I'm just curious. I just want to know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the thing that has me most interested is the story they're pulling from, right? Frank Miller is a crazy dude now. He's gone off the deep end. But before he was a crazy dude, he was a goat, right? He was a great writer, gave us some of them.
Still some of the greatest stories ever.
His new stuff is horrible, dude. Did
Oh,
you ever read All
I
Star
meant from the
Batman?
past for
Yeah,
sure.
you're right. Yeah, from the past, still some of the greatest stories ever. And Daredevil Born Again is one of the greatest stories ever. So if you're going to do that as a TV show, you better be on point. I'm worried, but at least you got some good material to pull from, you know? Uh, let's go ahead and touch on our final show. This is a feel good story. This is one that's going to make us feel good, potentially, depending on if this girl is in the show. Wongers! Go ahead and put up the Madison with the Y. The character that I thought I was going to absolutely hate and ended up being the best part of that god awful show.
Yes. Yeah,
Her and
she was.
Wong.
And was it Mackenzie with a Y and not where you think?
Yeah, Mackenzie. No, Madison with a Y. Not what you
Madison,
think.
that was right.
Yeah. Now, we don't know if she's actually going to be in the show, guys, but we know that there is rumors, again, from direct.com. So take it with that pinch of salt, that Salt Bay, that there is going to be a Strange Academy show starring Wong, which is interesting because I think he started an AMC show that I thought was great called Deadly Class, based off a comic book. It was a phenomenal show. It was incredibly underrated. Never got greenlit for season 2, and he was a head instructor in that show. Strange Academy thinks it's going. It seems like it's going to be along a similar vein of an academy for young wizards. I assume America Chavez is also rumored to be in the show. So I don't know. Madison better be in there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I have a feeling with the way his character was connecting to her in the show, like that he was like surprised even himself that he was enjoying Madison's company. I have a
Yeah,
feeling that she was a fan favorite. Everybody liked her. She was well received.
yeah. So
But
she's got to be.
I'd be curious as to see what this whole show Strange Academy is going to be about because one, like even at the end of Doctor Strange 2, Wong was still in charge. So why would it be called Strange Academy? You know? I don't know. It's just interesting to me.
Marketing. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
marketing. Eventually, they got to put Doctor Strange back in charge.
Right. But I
Yeah.
mean, again, how long do you think Benedict's going to stay in the game?
That's
Because
a good
he's
question.
essentially kind of one of the older players now.
I mean, I feel like he's still got a couple more movies in it. I mean, let's be
He
honest.
came in midway through.
His two standalones were very mid. You know.
I like the first one better than the second one.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one, but they were pretty mid in comparison.
The first one was better than I expected to, but I wasn't expecting much. The
Listen,
second one I was
going in,
expecting
they
a
were
lot.
trying to sell us on the fact that he was going to overtake Tony Stark and be the new face of the Marvel after Tony Stark leaves, after Robert Downey Jr. leaves, and that did not happen. Right?
No, and it in a way it should have because of the way he is regarded in the books, but I don't think that he's got the I don't think he has what it takes to be that person for the MCU on screen. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I think Chris Evans could be that person more than Benedict Cumberbatch could be. You know what I mean? Like that Cap is somebody that people want to grab onto. Cumberbatch is Doctor Strange is a cool character, but I just don't know about as a lead. I'm surprised they've even made Doctor Strange movies.
Yeah, Marvel has a couple years left as Maniac.
I agree with this
They
Maniac.
made him goofy in No Way Home. That's where I think he was best, though, in No Way Home. I thought he was great as a supporting character in No Way Home, being this kind of like parental figure having to deal with these crazy kids and just being driven half insane by their antics. I thought that was a funny dynamic, much better than him being the problem child and Wong having to be the parental figure, constantly chase after him. I know that's a little bit closer to the comic dynamic, although not quite,
No, yeah.
but it's just at least a little bit closer as far as Wong kind of helping him out. But yeah, I like the dynamic in No Way Home better. I don't know about you. I thought that's where he really shined in that role.
I liked him in it. I was kind of disappointed that he wasn't in the movie more. I thought it was going to be kind of like a duo film of both of them, and then it's just like, oh, he's kind of in the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and then at the end.
Yeah, but I think you're agreeing with me that was kind of where that character shined the best.
Yeah, I mean,
in all his appearances.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of like the shark and Jaws. Maybe the little amount that's in there is just enough.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Will he be in this show though? I doubt it. Benedict Cumberbatch hasn't done a show since Sherlock. Great show, underrated show, by the way.
Maybe he'll show up like Bruce did at the beginning of She-Hulk.
Yeah,
passing the torch.
Yeah, can we just stop bringing that show up?
Can we just stop making Disney Plus shows? I mean, seriously, I'd just rather them go back to the movies, man.
I agree.
This is too much. It's making me not care about them anymore. I know it's a whole other topic, but I wish it was just the movies.
Well, we'll see. You know what? These shows have been delayed, maybe getting cut, and I do think that they're doing a Daredevil show. I could see if you did do Disney Plus, just do the street level characters on Disney Plus. Street level characters lend themselves more to like episodic type TV,
right?
And I think if you're going to do a Disney Plus shows, have them be the street level characters, and have the Marvel Universe be more the grandiose type stuff, and maybe go into eventually the galaxy and do Annihilation Wave or whatever stories you want to do. But yeah, keep MCU street level. I think that's a big mistake they went with Moon Knight. Like I think Moon
Big
Knight
time.
would have been great if you set it up where the viewers are thinking it's going to be just like Batman, and then you pull the rug out from under them and make them realize, oh shit, this guy is crazy.
Yeah.
Like not like Batman violent crazy, like literally nuts, personality disorder crazy. I think that would have been brilliant. I think people would have been on board.
Yeah, they went way too Egyptian with that show.
Yeah,
like, way too.
I think they want to tie it into the stuff they were doing with the Eternals and all that. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. These 25-minute episodes are terrible.
Yeah. Well, that is going to do it for this time, guys. I think next time we do have some more topics, but we've been an hour, 10 minutes, and I think Bobo was right. I think we need to save some of the Golden Globe talk for our next episode, which will be coming at you Wednesday at the normal time slot. As Maniac out. Thanks for joining us, as Maniac. Thanks for joining us, Derpy. We had another viewer in here that came in and out that didn't comment.
Yeah, I wasn't.
But you know what?
It was.
You can always come back later. All you gotta do is hit that subscribe button and then hit that bell notification to be notified when we drop other videos. Also, throw us a like if you're at it. We greatly appreciate it. Comment below. You can comment later. We'll come back and maybe we'll read your comment for next time. Or comment when we pull up some reviews. Go watch Bobo's Megan review. It's a great review. Bobo is one of the most underrated people in this review game. And
hey, thanks,
help him get
buddy.
some more
Appreciate
reviews.
That.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Sometimes he gets a little surly with us, but that's okay because he's talented.
Surly, that's a good word.
Yeah. Hey, go check us out at some of our socials, by the way, guys. Shogun of Cinema on Instagram and Twitter. Patreon.com/BrassReel. We keep promising we're gonna do Patreon episodes. We will do them soon. I got to get together with Andrew and Bobo to make that happen. We also got Facebook.com/BrassReel. And also check out the very top of the live chat, guys. I posted a link for our Discord server. That link will be good for 7 days, although we'll just repost a new one in 7 days. Join us on Discord. Start a conversation and community with us on Discord. You can help us decide what content to put up here via Discord. So, some of you have that are active commentators. Why not come be a part of the show through our Discord and contribute to and help us think of ideas for these live streams? We greatly appreciate it. Bobo, you got anything you want to say before we head on out?
No, that's it, guys. Just make sure you, like you said, check out that Megan review and check us out on Wednesday when we're talking about some Golden Globe talk.
Yes, sir. All right. Till next time. Yo, if life gives you lemons,
make some hot, fresh popcorn.
Yeah, this biatch.
Peace.